Hi friends, welcome to Law Chat with Girija. This is your legal BFF, Girija Patel. Thank you for tuning in. I am so grateful for every single one of you for tuning in and listening, because this is what Law Chat is about. It's a place for you to be inspired, a place for you to gain some more wisdom and knowledge about your industry, but a place also where you can receive mentorship through storytelling. Thank you so much. Now, I know that before we walk into this next episode, whether you're tuning in through your iTunes or through other form of a podcast, or whether this is on YouTube, I would love for you to share this information with someone else, somebody who is your friend, your family, a colleague, somebody in your community, someone who can really be inspired by this as well and benefit from the information and from the stories that we're sharing with you today. Law Chat is to help the community, is to boost the community, is to inspire the community. And I want you to help me to do that. So thank you so much for that. Let's get started. Hi friends, welcome to Law Chat with your legal BFF, Girija Patel. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you about what are the essentials in an online business manager contract. I know that the OBM world is booming right now, and rightfully so, because everybody needs a manager for their business, especially when it's online and there's multiple things happening all over the place and multiple connections happening. So having an OBM can be extremely helpful in your business. Now, if you are an OBM or if you're looking to get into that space, what do you need in your contract? What do you need to make sure that you have in your contract with your clients? And that's what we're going to be discussing today. But before we get started, the information I'm sharing with you in this episode is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not meant to be any specific legal advice for you or for your business or for anybody else either. And really, if you really need legal advice, I would really encourage you to reach out to a lawyer that you trust, that can give you guidance, or any other professional that I might be talking about some other professional things, that reach out to those professionals to get accurate guidance for your business or for what you need to be doing in your business as well. So let's get started. So what are the essentials of an online business manager contract? Online business manager contracts are pretty much like all other contracts, but they are specific to online business managers. So there will be some terms in there that are very specific to them, or things that you just kind of have to keep in the back of your head when you are creating or reading a contract. So here's some things that are definitely important. They're absolutely not all the things that are important, but some of the things that I'm highlighting should be in a contract, or some sort of fashion should be in that contract. And so the number one thing that it would be is the parties to the contract. Who are the people that are actually becoming contractually obligated? Is it the company? Is it the client? Who's doing that? So you want to make sure that you're giving the right name for the parties to the contract. Number two, what's really important also is the duration of the contract. How long is this contract going to be? Is it going to be all for the next 3 years? Is it going to be only for 6 months? Have that conversation, because sometimes they want to do a test drive. And so the test drive could be just 3 months, but then they want to do another contract to extend that time, or they can add an addendum or an amendment to the existing contract to extend that time. So the time frame is really important to know how long the duration of this contract term is. How long does this contract apply, right? Simple as that. Number three, the thing that you need to have are the terms and conditions, meaning what are the services that you as an OBM are providing? What kind of things are you working on? Are you just doing high level, connecting the dots? You're being an operation manager, or are you going to kind of get into the nitty gritty also, and you're going to help them with certain aspects of their business, like helping create content, or being the person that is ultimately going to be deciding some of the actions or inactions of the company? And so those things need to be written out in the scope of work, or in the terms and conditions of the contract that you are signing. Another thing within that scope of work would also be, what's the power that you have? What is the decision-making power that you have as an online business manager, as opposed to the owner of the company? And that way you don't want to be liable or considered to be accountable for certain decisions, even though you've been given that authority. And so taking that step without conferring with the business owner, is that allowed or is that not allowed? And then that should be written out in the contract as well. It kind of goes into the liability exposure. What is your liability exposure? And does the company cover your liability, or are you going to have to cover your own self if you make the wrong step? If you do the wrong step, then will the business owner hold you liable? And so you need to have something in there to know the parameters of the liability and the accountability that you have. And within that, how are you allowed to function without being held directly responsible for any type of mistakes or loss of revenue or, something else like that. So you need to have that written in there and mitigate whatever you can mitigate in that sense as well.
I hate to interrupt this awesome conversation, but I have to stop and talk with you about the number one thing I'm asked about by entrepreneurs: contracts. They're vital to any business relationship and to protect your business. But I also know that entrepreneurs, especially when you're starting up, money is tight. But I would never want you to compromise on a strong legal foundation. So enter yourcontractbuddy.com, a website created by me with contract templates created and drafted by me and fellow industry partners. They're ready to use and easy to plug in immediately. And they are not restricted to any specific state. So yourcontractbuddy.com is sponsoring this episode, and you and your listener can get 10% off right now with code LAWCHAT. Yes, you heard me right. 10% off right now with code LAWCHAT. And now, back to our awesome conversation.
Now, another essential clause that could be there for the OBM contracts is as well confidentiality. You want to make sure that that confidentiality clause is there, that you're not sharing proprietary information of your client, because a lot of times you're getting access to clients' employees, you're getting access to the type of contracts that they have, you're getting access to their intellectual property, you're getting access to their trade secrets, you're getting access to their methodologies of doing stuff, you're getting access to their customers and their client base and their contacts. And so a lot of those are proprietary information. So the confidentiality clause needs to be there, and it also needs to be followed, because if you want to be a trustworthy OBM, especially if you're not only working for one person, but you're working for multiple companies, then that's something that needs to be absolutely there so that the other side can know that you really do consider confidentiality to be important and that you are going to be protecting the information of the company. And that kind of leads me to another clause. It's called conflict of interest. I personally would have that in a contract with an OBM, is that there's no conflict of interest between me and another one of their clients. So that way there's also no sense of where they're getting tempted to by mistake even, or there's temptation out there to share information that they shouldn't be sharing, or to do something for another client that's benefiting them unknowingly but subconsciously because they have access to my information. And so that can be a really sticky situation, and it can be really heartbreaking also for the people that you're working for. So always keep that in mind while you're working, but then you might want to have that in a contract as well. Another thing that you want to have in your contract is, again, about intellectual property. Who owns it? Or if there's a license, then who owns it and who's giving who the license? It's very important to have those things written out, because as an OBM, you might be creating some things for the company. You might be working and doing things for the company, but if you're hired as a contractor, then a lot of those things may be yours, because by default, contractors, what they create intellectual property wise is theirs. It's not the company's, unless there is a specific clause out there called made for hire and then assignment of rights. Now, there's definitely caveats to the made for hire rule, and there's things that are considered by courts to be, obviously, if you're hiring them for this thing, you're commissioning them, and it just makes sense that it would be yours. But really good practice is always to have it in writing, because that ensures that whoever is hiring you as an independent contractor, that thing is, if you are creating content or creating any type of intellectual property that is being created for your client, then it is theirs for sure through these two clauses. But if it's something that you don't want to give and it's something that you're allowing them to use, then it's a licensing out situation. And so just, you need to have that written out though, so there's clarity and there's no confusion later on in life. Which then leads me to, what is your position in the company? Yes, you're an online business manager. Are you an independent contractor? Are you an employee? That really varies state to state also. If you are in the weeds of the company and you are really in it to win it, and you're integrated with a lot of power, with a lot of authority, and your scope of work is pretty large, maybe identifying you or classifying you as a independent contractor may be a misclassification. So we need to make sure that you're being classified correctly. That way you or the company won't be facing any type of penalties later on. Another important clause is the termination clause. How will you exit if you want to exit prematurely? What gives you the right to say, I'm done, I need to get out, I'm not liking this vibe in here or this energy, I just don't like the culture, whatever it might be. Is there an exit strategy? What is that exit strategy? And does it work with you? And does it align with the way you're running your business also? And of course, the boilerplate clauses that are there, you kind of need to have them. They're really helpful to your contract. And so those are things that you absolutely need to have as well. All of those clauses are actually discussed in other episodes of mine, so go tune into those. I'm not going to dive into them right now, but those are the clauses that kind of wrap it up and seal it with a bow type of situation for your contracts. So those are some of the most important clauses out there, but most definitely not the only clauses. So again, if you are wanting to create an online business manager contract for yourself or for somebody that you might be hiring, then please go check out and talk to a lawyer so that way you know that you're doing the right thing for your business. This information I'm sharing is so that you can kind of have your eyes and ears open while you are looking at a contract or creating one for yourself. Have a great day and see you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Law Chat. I hope this was super beneficial to you. I really enjoyed sharing this information with you today. And I have to ask you for a favor. Like I did in the beginning, I'm going to ask you again, please share this with your community, whether it's a friend, family, or another colleague, or someone else on your Facebook or Instagram or other social media spot. Share this, subscribe, and stay tuned for other episodes coming in so you are always up to date. But then also take another moment and share this episode with your community, because when you share it with everybody else, not only are they benefiting, but also the information that I'm sharing is reaching out to more people, because at the end of the day, we want to rise together with our community, and I can only do that with your help. Now, I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you tuned in, and I want to hear from you as well. So shoot me a DM on Instagram at GVP Law or at Law Chat with Girija. I would love to hear from you. I would love to also hear what other episodes that you would like to hear about, topics that you want to hear about, and also just connect with you. And thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.